Each week, nearly a dozen movies are released theatrically. 40 films a month, more than 400 a year. That's a plethora of cinema. Too much cinema. You'd have to be an addict to see all that, but don't fret. We've got you covered. This is CinemAddicts.
Hey everyone, what's up? It's a new week of CinemAddicts. This is CinemAddicts episode 265. We are covering movies for the week of Friday, October 25th, 2024. Yes, I'm going to say this again. This is Greg. Fake voice. How's the fake voice voicing? Here it comes.
I need to try that too. I didn't get much sleep last night, so let's see if I can trick my brain into thinking I'm awake.
How dare you impersonate me, because you sound exactly like me, Eric Holmes. Very good job. Movies we're covering this week include Let's Start a Cult, Rule of Two Walls, Your Monster, The Remarkable... What is it called? The Remarkable Life of Ibelin. I apologize to the filmmakers if I mispronounce the name. And Magpie. Eric Holmes, out of these movies, which ones did you actually choose?
Hey, Greg, I chose Let's Start a Cult, and we should. A cinematic cult, and a 4-star cult, and The Rule of Two Walls, which is a movie about the Russians bombing Ukraine.
Wow.
Oh, wait,
that's not very good.
We shouldn't do that.
We shouldn't do the Greg fake voice for that review of Rule of Two Walls. Am I assuming that, Eric Holmes?
And it's not even working. I'm still tired. I can only trick myself so much.
Okay, the reason why Eric Holmes is tired, okay, and the fake voice is now down to a normal, hopefully as authentic as inauthentic Greg. Yes, me in the third person can say. I'm gonna lower down the excitement right now. But Eric Holmes, happy birthday, happy belated birthday to you, Eric Holmes. You are now how old? 24. Is that correct?
I've been 69 for the last 69 years.
So speaking of very good, did you do anything special for your birthday? Which was yesterday, by the way. It's up this recording. Yes.
Yeah, 22nd. It was the 23rd now as we're recording this.
Okay.
But I work karaoke. I worked karaoke last night at Toki. And then so I brought my niece and nephew down with me. The regulars came by. So one of the regulars, Ray, got me this. He had this Warlock, BC Rich Warlock guitar that was broke that he fixed. I guess I didn't know up until yesterday that's what he did, but he fixes guitars. And he gave me that. And I was like, well, that's freaking cool.
That's worth a lot of money, right, Eric?
I mean, it's priceless to me now because I got it from Ray. But yeah.
Oh wow! Don't get so sentimental on this. Eric Holmes put it up on eBay. He's cashing it out right now for some sweet portobellos, right, Eric?
No, I'm not kidding. Never selling that. I might give it to Anton because he would definitely play it more than I would, but definitely shred once or twice on it.
Oh, that's very, very cool. Oh, so that was a good night for you, as far as even though
it's not every day that you celebrate your birthday by going to work, but when you have a job that I have that you like as much as I do, and the place that I work at Toki is one of my favorite places to run karaoke at anyway. Yeah, okay. I'd be like, if I wasn't working karaoke that night, I probably would have went to Toki anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And you got to bring your niece and nephew. Did you tell them that it's your birthday, that they have to score up throw you some bones that you can put in your wallet?
No.
You didn't extort money out of your blood? It's okay to extort money out of your blood, your loved ones?
No, we went there. They did a bunch of songs. And of course, Anton, he likes Slipknot. So he did a Slipknot song.
Very cool.
Made it a bunch of Eminem songs. And
that's nice. It
was funny because a lot of the songs they did had a lot of cursing in it, which I don't care. And but the people watching are like, is someone going to get in trouble? What's going on?
All right, folks, I really had a good time talking to Eric Holmes about just his wonderful birthday. Let's Start a Cult, Rule of Two Walls, Your Monster, The Remarkable Life of Ibelin, and Magpie. These are the movies we're covering for this week. We already covered them. You guys are on your own. Thank you so much. That's your birthday present. No more CinemAddicts, Eric. You can go to work early. Is that okay? Bruce Purkey is going to commandeer the rest. His segment is 21 minutes. So I was just vamping. We were just vamping for 3 minutes. So we have a 25-minute episode. You want to go now, Eric? Should we leave? Or should we?
I want to talk at least about 2 of these.
Oh,
the rest of them, whatever, but.
Okay, our job on CinemAddicts, whether we like it or not, I think all of us like it. And if you're, by the way, Bruce Purkey, the most important member of CinemAddicts.
Yes.
I mean, we love you, Anderson Cowan, but we just elevated Bruce Purkey to the #1 sensei of the CinemAddicts community because he's up there over in the attic, in the Holmes family attic. He's toiling, he's suffering. On your birthday, did you give him a special birthday cake over at the Cinematic Did you give him over something good?
Yeah, so I can't eat cake or dessert stuff because it messes with my gut. So I'm like, Bruce is probably used to the people food right now, and this is people food. There you go, Bruce. You can have that. So
And did you ever think that maybe he might not be good for his guts too? He might have guts all over the floor if
I
you.
I was trying to be nice. If I didn't like it, I will go back to dog food.
Okay, so happy birthday to Eric Holmes. He is 69, 69 stars, 69 and 69 for 69 years. So very, very good, Eric Holmes. Thank you so much for sharing. Let's see if there's some good stuff to share regarding this week. Let's bury the lead. We're gonna get to a movie that we want to get to in a second. But let's start with this movie called Rule of Two Walls. It's a documentary set in the Ukraine. I'm about 15 minutes into it, so I can't even review it, but I've seen two artists. One of them is like a real life artist. One of them is a rapper, and it's about how they're processing the understandable trauma of this war, this conflict in Ukraine, and how they are processing art while in the midst of tragedy. So it's not a flashy documentary. This is sort of a quote unquote person behind the camera, up close and personal documentary on people living during this very traumatic times in the Ukraine. So it seems interesting. It's 77 minutes. It's produced. One of the producers is actor, filmmaker Liev Schreiber. I don't know, Eric Holmes. You've seen it. You've seen all 77 minutes. What can you tell our listeners? Is there any value in this documentary?
It's pretty dry through most of it. Well, through all of it, really. It's basically the artists filming themselves. I believe most of, if not all, the filmmakers of this were living there and decided to stay in Ukraine when Russia was attacking them. And it's kind of just a bunch of people living their lives post that. A lot of pictures of dead bodies, destruction. And it's kind of stuff.
I mean, there's stuff that's graphic. I'm only 15 minutes in. There's a scene when you see.
Yeah, there's especially at the very end, you get a bunch of throughout you get close-ups to dead bodies, but at the end you get some really horrifying images. But other than that, I because I know they were trying to link that with the art and how we use art to protest or fight back or do all that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting much of that from here. Definitely got that they were artists, definitely got the destruction of the Ukraine, but the documentary didn't marry the two in a way that I thought.
Why? Because it would seem it would be, I'm not saying easy, but it would seem that what didn't connect to you between those two things, because
I don't know. It was just here's the destruction. Now here's us doing our art stuff. Now here's more destruction. Now here's a different artist doing their art stuff. But the two, it seems like two separate documentaries shoved into one, as opposed to one cohesive documentary.
Oh, wow.
That married the two well.
Okay, Eric, can I say this? Going into this, were you looking forward? Were you looking forward to this documentary? Because it sounds like a good premise for a documentary. That's what I'm saying. And were you disappointed by the execution?
I wouldn't say I was looking forward to it, because I didn't. It was just on our list of movies to watch, and that was the one I clicked. So I had no idea what I was getting into.
How arbitrary was that choice, Eric Holmes? I love that. You just clicked.
I was looking at him okay, I saw that one. Greg saw that one. Greg saw that one, so I don't need to see that one. Bruce covering that. Bruce and Greg's covering that. Bruce saw it. I'll watch this one just to even it out. So it was basically just me doing the mental math of who's watching what on the podcast and who's covering what. So I was left.
You know what you're doing? You're doing cinematic friendly Russian roulette.
Yeah.
No joke. No joke with this one. When I say Russian,
it's literally the most boring answer of why I decided to watch a movie, but that's what went in my head.
Well, boring. That said, was this movie a slog? And do you think there will be people who can glean some kind of value? Because I can't push back on this. I'm 15 minutes in, so I'm going to complete this. 15 minutes in, I'm not enjoying the trauma that's unfolding, but I'm locked into the story of some of these artists. Were you immediately locked out? Meaning, so are there people?
I wasn't locked out. I never got in
the door. You never got in the room.
Yeah, I'm just I would say this would be a good one for people who are pro-Ukrainian Ukrainian bombing, but who saw Ukraine get bombed and was like, yay,
Yeah,
more of
yeah,
that?
yeah. Huh.
Maybe the Russians because they did it, but other than that, like I don't know, because a lot of this is kind of stuff that you may have seen, like not the really horrible stuff, but I think most people have seen a lot of this on the news or online. I think the interesting angle was the bombing and the artist, and marrying those two stories. I just don't think this did that very well. At least I
Fair.
didn't catch on to it.
Okay, so let's go. Just before we get to Eric's final rating on Rule of Two Walls, quote, Rule of Two Walls is an intimate look at the war in Ukraine as seen through the eyes of Ukrainian artists who remain in their country, Eric was saying, to make art as a defined act in the face of aggression. Using live music performance, painting, street art, and the act of filmmaking itself, the documentary illuminates the war's psychological front lines. It's playing specifically at the Lamley Royal on October 25th in Los Angeles. So it's very limited release. Maybe look it up down the line. Liev Schreiber is an executive producer. Eric, your rating and final comment on Rule of Two Walls.
Real quick. So I was thinking this yesterday because we talked about the exhibiting forgiveness.
Okay.
And I was telling my sister, I'm like, you were going to love this movie. I don't know when it comes out, but you got to watch it. She was asking yesterday, it's like, is it on streaming yet? I'm like, maybe, let me look it up. No, it's playing limited theaters, which translates to no one's going to watch it. So that's kind of, so like when you release a movie, at least if you like, granted, when you put it out on streaming, it just kind of gets lost in the fog. But if you're just going to play limited theaters, like
it's even worse, right?
You're basically saying, hey, we're gonna lock this movie in a basement for a couple months until everyone forgets about it, and then we'll let it be lost in the fog. We'll quietly put it out into the fog. But yeah, I don't really know who this movie's for. It's again, I kind of see what they're trying to do. It just didn't work for me. But the images and the bodies, especially towards the end, were quite striking. And I mean, they're dead bodies, so that's about as graphic as it gets. Other than that, like it hurts to say, I don't think this is a recommend for me.
What's your rating on Rule of Two Walls?
Probably give it a rating of 2 stars.
2 stars from Eric Holmes for Rule of Two Walls. Okay, we also have to say that Bruce Purkey will have a review of Rule of Two Walls. Let's see if he likes it more than Eric.
I'm curious if he got any more out of it than I did. If he did listen to him, I'm just dumb. But I suspect Bruce might feel similar to me, but I don't know. I haven't heard his review yet.
Yeah, well, I'm 15 minutes in. I'll give my review maybe next week on the Rewind for Cinematics, okay? I also forgot to mention, after we're done with these reviews, Eric has a recommendation of a movie or project he has yet to tell me about. So that will be a surprise for Eric's recommendation towards the end of this episode before we get to Bruce and the cinematic. Now, I'm continuing to bury the lead because there's another movie called Your Monster. And I don't know, Eric, if you've seen all of the Scream movies, if you're a fan of this movie called Abigail, or if you've seen In the Heights, this actress, Melissa Barrera, very talented actress. If you have seen Abigail.
Loved In the Heights, did not see Abigail.
Oh, okay. You need to see Abigail soon.
And that's what people keep saying, but so I keep seeing. Do
you know anything about this movie?
Dangerous Child, and that whole genre doesn't appeal to me at all.
Okay, do you know anything about the movie at all?
Just what I saw of a ballerina girl like going, ah.
Oh, okay.
There was an image, and then I immediately thought like Orphan or Annabelle, stuff like that. I'm like, no, not for you. Okay, no, well, maybe not for you. She's the lead in Abigail. She's fantastic. You've seen In the Heights. Is In the Heights a recommend? I love In the Heights. That one was.
She's one of the main people in The Heights.
That movie was so like saccharine, but I kind of didn't care. I loved it anyway.
Okay, all right. So here's a quote: "Your Monster tells a story of a soft-spoken actor named Laura, played by Melissa Barrera. She's dumped by her longtime boyfriend, played by Edmund Donovan, while recovering from surgery and retreats to her childhood home to recover. Her childhood home, Laura's childhood home, is in New York. She and her boyfriend, they're both part of this whole sort of theater community in New York. And Laura's a very talented theatrical actress and singer. And her boyfriend is a talented theatrical director and creator, but her boyfriend leaves her because, yeah, she's recovering from surgery, cancer surgery, and she is understandably down in the dumps about her health. And she's down in the dumps by being dumped by her boyfriend. And so Laura is now at her childhood home, her mom's home in New York, and she's trying to recover. The problem is there is a monster living in her house. The monster is played by actor Tommy Dewey, and ultimately her monster, it's not your monster, Laura's monster, and Laura, it centers on their friendship. Well, at first it's sort of not a very, it's a tense relationship, but eventually it grows into a friendship, and who knows, would it be a Beauty and the Beast type of connection? We'll see. You just have to watch Your Monster to find out. It's in theaters, only in theaters, October 25th, and Melissa Barrera, she delivers such a great performance in this movie about Laura and how she's understandably neurotic and she wants to get back with her boyfriend, who is ultimately just a creep because he left her in the middle of a tragedy. That's not what a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a soulmate should do. And he's just a jerk, straight up. And when he's mounting his new play, he doesn't even give Laura a call to join him up on his expedition, on his new project. And when she was healthy, she was helping her boyfriend just pretty much mount the play and create the play. So is Your Monster a revenge story against this boyfriend? A little bit. Is it a Beauty and the Beast tale about a woman who befriends a monster in her apartment? A little bit, but it has a lot more things to say about confronting your own demons and where will you go to seek vengeance or revenge against people who've wronged you? When are you, as a person, going to break out of your shell, and what will you do? So I think it's a very personally etched tale from a really talented filmmaker. I did not look up the name of the director. I'll look it up right now. But yeah, I like some of the musical numbers in this. Melissa Barrera. I guess I haven't seen In the Heights. She's a very good
Caroline Lindy.
Thank you, Eric. Caroline Lindy, writer and director. This seems like a very personal tale. I think it might be inspired by her own story, but Melissa Barrera, excellent performance. She stands out in this movie. And Tommy Dewey as a monster, he's very funny as well. And yeah, it's one of these movies that I hope, Eric, you're mentioning things that maybe they'll play in a theater and might be ignored down the lane. Like if they're only playing in one or two theaters. I'm assuming with the star power of Melissa Barrera, Your Monster will be playing in more theaters. And I think people who love the theater, love musicals, because there's some musical numbers here, or music numbers, they're going to enjoy Your Monster, and it will draw the Melissa Barrera fans. But outside of that, it's just a really well done comedy drama, coming of age drama, revenge drama, musical drama. It has a lot of different elements to Your Monster. So in theaters, October 25th, my rating for Your Monster, 4 stars. And I am just remiss. I should have been watching a lot more of Melissa Barrera's work. And she has a really extensive resume. I just started last year with Abigail. Loved her in that. Loved her in this. Eric Holmes says she's great, and Eric Holmes loved In the Heights. I think that's the next thing from Barrera that I'm going to see, and then I'm going to go jump with the last couple of Scream movies as well. So Your Monster, tell us what you think of this movie as well. So Eric, what else should we talk about? Oh, should we continue to bury the lead? Let's not bury the lead this time. Eric, what is the...
Yeah, because you got Magpie. You should go with Magpie, and then the lead's already been buried. Let's just throw more dirt on top of it.
Okay.
And we'll end strong.
Fair. Okay, only in theaters October 25th is a movie called Magpie. Eric Holmes, Daisy Ridley. Are you a fan of Daisy Ridley whatsoever?
I like her in, let's see, I've only saw her in the Star Wars and the Murder on the Orient Express. Liked her in both of those. I'm not like, ooh, Daisy Ridley, I'm in love, but I don't hate her, and I've liked her in everything I've seen. So yeah. I'm kind of neutral on her right now. Like she could do something that would blow me away, that would tip me towards that side, or I haven't seen her be bad though. So yeah,
okay, that's fair.
I would say I'm positive on Daisy Ridley.
Okay, well, it'd be interesting to see what you think, whether this tips the tide on good or bad regarding Daisy Ridley. It's based on an original idea by Daisy Ridley. It's written by Tom Bateman and it's directed by Sam Yates. It centers on a woman named Annette, and she's married to this guy named Ben. They're both successful in their respective careers. They live out in the London or England countryside. And Annette, you can tell she's a little bit depressed that she lives in the countryside. She'd rather be raising their wonderful daughter somewhere in the city. Her husband is Ben. He is a writer, and Ben is played by Shazad Latif, and Daisy Ridley is Annette. And you can tell from the beginning that Annette is going through some kind of mental health issues regarding her life, and you're wondering what's going on beneath the surface. Their daughter gets a job on a movie set as she's a really plum role in a movie set, playing the daughter of a glamorous movie star. Her name's Alicia, I think it's Alicia, played by Matilda Lutz. And Alicia is a movie star, and they're in a period drama, and their daughter is part of this period drama. The husband, Ben, accompanies the daughter to the movie set, while Annette spends all of these working days alone by herself with they have another kid. I forget if the kid is a daughter or a son, but they have a baby in the house. So Annette's stuck raising the baby, taking care of the baby during the day, while her husband, who's a little bit of a narcissist, he accompanies their daughter to the movie set. What happens is Ben starts getting an infatuation with Alicia, and Alicia seems to be taking sort of a liking to Ben as well, because Ben seems to be a good dad, at least from Alicia's eyes. And what happens is when Annette starts figuring out there might be something between Bennett and Alicia, Annette goes on sort of a little bit, she flies off the handle a little bit, and she's wondering what will she do with this supposed infidelity. And so that is the premise of Magpie. It is a thriller, and it's very interesting up to a point. I was expecting a lot from this movie. Solid performances by everyone involved. I just wish there was an extra layer to Magpie, because the great things about the best thrillers that they'll have different layers built upon each other. But eventually I solved the whole riddle of Magpie pretty early in the story. And once that riddle was solved, it was mainly my big draw was watching Daisy Ridley act, which is fine. But the third act to me was a little bit of a letdown, and I was expecting more from Magpie. I was expecting a lot. It is described as a stylish neo-noir thriller, and it does have certain elements, but I really wish that director Sam Yates just amped up the thriller elements to Magpie, because ultimately what happens, I saw a movie that's good, but not memorable. Solid effort by Daisy Ridley because it's her idea, and she's good in this movie, some good elements, but ultimately Magpie ends up being a quite forgettable experience. Forgettable, but I would still recommend it. Mild recommendation for Magpie. Only in theaters, October 25th. 3-star rating. I liked everyone involved. I just wish there was a little bit more layering to Magpie. So with that review, Eric Holmes, are you staying away from Magpie? I don't know what Bruce gave it.
I'm kind of curious of what the idea was.
What? Oh, okay.
She didn't have a writing credit, which makes sense because you don't own ideas. Like, you know.
Right.
And it's weird that's based on an idea by Daisy Ridley. Because, hey, Greg, we should make a movie about a werewolf fighting a blob monster. Mm-hmm. And then you want to write that. You're not going to write it. It's going to be a brilliant screenplay. You produce it, and it's like based on an idea by Eric Holmes, because I literally just gave you a stupid sentence and you had to flesh everything out. I'm wondering how much of the
idea was really hers, or how much did she help develop it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like obviously she's in the movie, so I didn't look, but I'm assuming she probably has a producer credit as well. But the fact that they even put based on an original idea by Daisy Ridley, didn't think of it as a red flag, but I think my subconscious flagged that this might not be good.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, Magpie, again, 3 stars for me, mild recommend. Right. I still haven't listened.
Regardless, let's say I watch Magpie and this is absolutely horrible. It has nothing to do with whether or not Daisy Ridley's good at acting.
That's fair.
Because she was in the bubble. Bubble wasn't great, but that's not like Daisy Ridley ruined that movie. There's some good stuff in there.
And Daisy Ridley's good in Magpie. She's solid. Yeah. The movie is a mild recommendation for me, 3 stars. Theaters, October 25th. There's a movie called The Remarkable Life of Ibelin. It's going to be on Netflix on October 25th. Bruce will have reviews of The Remarkable Life of Ibelin. He'll have also reviews of Rule of Two Walls, Let's Start a Cult, and Magpie. 4 reviews coming up from Bruce Purkey just in a few moments. Yes, Eric.
Really quick, though. You like Daisy Ridley, though, right?
Yeah, I do, yeah. For the most part, yeah.
maybe I can just get on board. Let's start a cult.
What kind of
Ridley cult.
let's start. Yeah, let's not start. No. I don't know about the Daisy Ridley cult, but why don't we, in general, let's start a cult. Movie is exclusively in theaters October 25th. Eric Holmes, I've been blabbing for a little bit. Why don't you take it away with sort of the plot summary and your
Yes. So Chip is in a cult. It's like one of those kind of we're gonna transcend, blah blah blah. And by transcend, they mean they're gonna drink Kool-Aid that's poisoned and they all die. But that's what they aspire to. They're not there yet. So Chip is part of this cult, and he's kind of the idiot of the cult. Like they're like, I guess you're part of a cult, but we really don't want you here. Well, they decide, hey Chip, why don't you run to the store and grab some stuff? It's like, but are we gonna transcend? It's like, oh yeah, we need this, but you need to get it. You're the one. It's like, I am the one. I'm gonna go get this. And he leaves, and he comes back, and everyone in the cult is dead. He's like, those mother effers transcended without me. So what he's going to do is he's going to go out and he's going to start his own cult. And then the rest of the movie is basically just him and others. We'll leave a certain part out of that, but him and others going to find other cult members. And you get to, basically watch a bunch of idiots come together and just form this other cult. My favorite one, the funniest line I laughed at for like 10 minutes was he came up to the one guy and he was like outside the army recruiting office. They came out in like the old school army fatigues, like so you in the military? He's like, nah, man, they wouldn't let me in. Why? What happened? He's like, I don't know. They said it had celery bones or something. This movie's completely stupid, but like funny stupid.
Smart stupid. I was saying this. It's funny stupid and it's smart stupid. Meaning
it's not that smart. It's just stupid.
Really?
But I think
smartly executed. Smartly executed, don't you think?
I think this is like one of those, like, it's stupid, but it knows how to navigate in that stupid area, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Imagine Napoleon Dynamite. If Napoleon Dynamite was funny, that would kind of be this movie.
Are you saying Napoleon Dynamite is not funny?
Not a fan of Napoleon Dynamite.
What's your rating on Napoleon Dynamite, Mike? I'm just kidding.
Only like 1.5, somewhere around there. There's like Rex Kwando is funny, and the guy throwing the football at the camera is funny, but otherwise I can do without. If I never watch Napoleon Dynamite for the rest of my life, I will be happy, man. But Let's Start a Cult. If I never get to watch Let's Start a Cult again for the rest of my life, I will be very, very sad, man.
Right. So that's Obnoxious Loser. His name's, like Eric was saying, his name's Chip. Chip is played by Stavros Halkias. We also have to mention Wes Haney as William. William is the former cult leader who he ends up.
I was trying to dance around that. Probably.
You want to try? Okay. You know what?
Yeah, because it's a thing that happens. So I guess it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But
you know what? Let's just say it also starts Wes Haney, Katie Fulan, Daniel Simonson, Ethan Suplee, right? Tom Papa and Phil Brooks.
CM Punk.
CM Punk has
he showed up and was like, man, that guy looks like CM Punk. Oh, that is CM Punk. All right, cool.
Okay, and hold it here, quote, traveling together through middle America, the constantly bickering duo, there, which includes, again, the obnoxious loser Chip and this other person he brings as far as to helping start a new cult. They recruit a military wannabe, which Eric mentioned in the funniest line of the movie, a mentally unstable mom, and a mysterious foreign hitchhiker. This mysterious foreign hitchhiker, by the way, spoiler alert, has one of this year's best freaking monologues in cinema. I mean, it's just this movie. I'll tell you, Let's Start a Cult. I have not been this surprised by a comedy. And who knows, maybe, I don't even know if Eric likes this movie. Last time I was this surprised.
I hate it. This is a 1-star movie.
I know. I wasn't this surprised by a comedy of this level since Office Space some years ago. First time I saw Office Space, I was blown away. First time I saw Let's Start a Cult, totally blown away. And it's exclusively in theaters October 25th. I hope whoever's in charge of this movie being in theaters, I hope they're doing a good job with marketing, because this movie is going to be, whether it does great business in theaters or not, it's going to be a cult hit. Why not make it a hit right now? Eric, your review of Let's Start.
Yeah, again, I don't like Napoleon Dynamite, but I totally realized that it's a movie that caught on. A lot of people love it. Super Troopers, love Super Troopers. Start off, didn't make much money, but became a thing. I mean,
Yeah, no, those are good too. Good.
pick a random Adam Sandler movie, before he blew up. Think of any comedy that started off just getting crapped on early on, or not seen, or not successful, and then eventually people find it, and then that becomes like their favorite comedy ever. That's kind of this movie.
Right. This movie is directed by Ben Kitnick. Who are the writers for this movie? There's Stavros Halkias, Wes Haney, and Ben Kitnick.
Chip William and the director.
Wow. Okay, let's just say this. The only barrier to entry for Let's Start a Cult, I really love this comedy, but I have a niece, she's 8 years old. I'm not going to take her to see Let's Start a Cult because there is some, what do you say, Eric? I'm not saying some sketchy, but some adult humor in this movie, right? Just some adult humor.
I don't know.
Are you kidding me?
I watched Yellowbeard as a child, so I can't say anything.
Oh, okay. Well, so I just really love this. I don't know. It's so hard to describe this movie. Let's just say, Let's Start a Cult. The only negative of this movie is I haven't seen it again. That's my only complaint.
That's same here.
Right.
And the thing with comedies, like the celery bone stuck, but I remember laughing so hard at so many different parts of this movie, and I couldn't tell you one of them just because my brain doesn't work that way. I'll start laughing and it usually disappears right away. So I got to watch it 10, 15 times to start quoting it for real. But I cannot wait to watch it 10, 15 more times because I love this movie.
This is how funny Let's Start a Cult is. When you laugh at some of the news updates in this movie, that's not even a sketch. There's a news update and you're just cracking up. That's how brilliant this movie is. Yes, it is stupid, but it's brilliant in its execution. That's why.
They also got certain smash cuts are really good.
Yeah.
When he is Chips getting with that older lady.
Yeah.
Smash cut to them having sex, but how they're having sex.
It's very, very funny. Very funny. And we're not going to say,
what?
There is
I'm going to say it. She's got him in a headlock. He's like, it's family show. So I'll just leave it there. Dude, that was, oh my God.
That is a family show.
I saw that. I'm like, holy crap, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Look, also, I don't know if Eric, you agree with this. This movie has a little bit of heart to it too.
I mean, that just kind of, that's like the MSG you sprinkle in your food to make it that little bit better.
Yeah. It has a good heart. This is one of those. I hope. Look, in CinemAddicts, we try to unearth some gems, and I think I think we have a good one here. I mean, you and I, we were pretty early adopters of Dinner in America, correct? I mean, I think this is it. CinemAddicts listeners, Let's Start a Cult. The cult is people who've watched Let's Start a Cult. Let's start me, Eric, Bruce, listeners. You guys are the most important people here. So just
also a cool thing about this, there's stuff that's obviously funny, and I'd have to watch it again and again, but I suspect there's maybe some more detailed stuff that's undercover 100%. Funny. You didn't catch it the first time, but you'll watch again oh, I didn't notice that. That there's probably stuff like that, and especially that. There was a scene where a dude was doing one of the guys was doing an interview. It was I don't know, they could be anywhere, just right behind.
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah, that's pretty. There's so many funny stuff in Let's Start a Cult. Exclusively in theaters October 25th. Eric, final thought and your rating.
It was 6.9 all the way. I love this movie. This is probably one of my favorites of the year.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Eric, what's my rating?
5 stars.
5 stars, and I'm gonna copy Eric. It's probably gonna be one of my favorites this year too. So I mean,
I'm actually putting 6.9 in quotations.
Look, you know what? I never I never say that, but let's just say, it's a 5 stars. Bruce likes to say 5-star classic. I'm gonna say 5-star classic. I'm going to let you put 6.9 on the Google Doc just for the heck of it. I wonder what Bruce is gonna give Let's Start a Cult. I know he loved it as well.
Because I know that he recognized it's stupid, but he didn't say it was stupid. So I think that if I had to guess, I think he understands what the movie's going for and probably appreciates it for that. I can't imagine he loves it as much as I do, but if he does, I'd be tickled to hell to hear that he does as well. But Let's Start a Cult. Go watch it. and then let us know what you think. Because also, again, Bruce brings this up a lot. People's sense of humor is different. Stuff I think is funny, you think is stupid. Stuff you think is horrifying, I think is hilarious. So, it's just
Eric, do you like pizza?
Love it.
Tell me, have you met someone who's ever hated pizza? Have you met a couple of people? Maybe a couple of people, right?
Probably people that can't eat it because of like gluten or whatever, but not that, ooh, gross pizza. Oh no, that's not true. There's people that I know that don't like cheese, so they wouldn't eat pizza just because of the cheese.
Okay, but how about cheeseless pizza? Maybe.
I mean, that's not pizza.
Oh,
bread, sauce, and cheese. That's
a whole different argument right there.
You can put whatever you want on top of that, even pineapple. I don't give a crap, but it needs to have bread, sauce, and cheese. Otherwise, it's not pizza.
How about this, folks?
Then it's just breadsticks with dipping sauce on it.
How about this, folks? Let's start a cult is like a really well-made cheeseburger. And there you go. It could be a vegan cheeseburger if you want. Okay. It's just, I think it's something that I hope we're not wrong in this. I think most people are going to love this movie. I hope so. But
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, there's obviously going to be people that watch it and don't get it, and that's fine. But this movie's just too good. I want to watch this movie 20 more times.
Yeah.
I almost turned off Rule of Two Walls. I'm like, I'm just going to watch this twice and skip that one.
Okay, so I've never seen The Beanie Bubble by Ben Ketnick, so I guess that's the next thing we watch. I don't know, The Beanie Bubble? I don't know if it's a documentary about how the Beanie Babies, with little to no backstory, captured the hearts of millions. I don't know. So, well, anyways, we just keep on going. I don't know what else to say. I'm trying to, with a fake voice, I'm trying to do with the cuts, but there's nothing else to say. We love Let's Start a Cult in theaters October 25th. Before we go, Eric, you want to say any way to promote CinemAddicts? Anything, your pitch man? Yeah.
Yes. Go to cinematicspodcast.com and get yourself some merch, and go to the CinemAddicts Facebook page where we like to talk about things and interact. If someone saw Let's Start a Cult and hated it, you would go to the CinemAddicts page and say, Eric, Greg, you guys are idiots. This movie sucks and it's stupid. And we'll say, yes, it is stupid. We agree. We just thought it was funny.
Well, yeah, whether it's our CinemAddicts Facebook page or CinemAddicts Facebook group, if you have a problem with anything that me and Eric say on CinemAddicts, please join our group, and you can actually just message or get at Bruce Purkey. He handles all our queries. Any comments or complaints goes straight to Bruce Purkey, right, Eric?
Yeah. That's why I keep him up in his office,
quote unquote office. All right, folks. But yeah, look, Facebook group, and thank you for ad-free stuff. Go to our CinemAddicts YouTube channel. We get all our audio stuff in. I'm actually putting a lot of our reviews on our Deepest Dream YouTube channel, because that's how me, Bruce Purkey, and Eric Holmes, we make that little, what is it, cheddar? Is it cheddar? The change, the ka-chings, it helps with our what? Our cheeseburgers, our
drug habits.
The true family show. Drug habits meaning
money.
Flintstones vitamins. Okay, and then
heroin mostly.
Oh, here we go. Heroin, meaning he loves heroin. Hold on, like what Miss Marvel? Miss Marvel from the MCU.
Burn it in a spoon, siphon it up through a syringe, and stick it in your arm.
That's insulin because I'm diabetic. So yeah, this is a family show. We will see you guys next week. And anything?
No, we won't.
Oh,
we will see them next week. But I have a recommend.
Oh. Sorry, Eric Holmes. You recommend before I go for it.
Yes, I saw a movie written by Joshua Todd James and directed by Nick McKinless, starring Scott Adkins. It's called Take Cover.
Yes, let's hear what you
4 weeks later, I finally get around to it. Dude, this movie's so good.
And here's Bruce Purkey. What hell? Hello? Go ahead.
Greg, you already talked about it, and then I got to not watch it for a couple weeks.
Eric, the floor is yours. The floor, go at it. Please.
Well, here's the thing. So you got Scott Adkins and Jack Parr, and they're snipers, and they get caught in the thing, but they get away, and then now they're going up to this kind of penthouse area.
Yeah,
just a giant wall, and right away Scott Adkins, and I'm thinking the exact same thing. Close those damn shades, because he's a sniper. What's the thing? That's wide open space. There's a building. There's a building. There's a building. I would probably sit right there if I wanted to kill me. Close the shades. Jack Parr's like, totally agree. And then they get a couple massage therapists up there, and they're, here, let's open the shades. Dude, the whole scene, like anytime anyone new came in there, the first thing they want to do is open the shades. I'm like, shut those. And of course, Scott Adkins like, close those shades right now. Whoa, just want to get a view. And like, I don't want the view. You close those damn shades, close that window right now. And then, of course, eventually the sniper reveals itself, and they have to take cover, behind
Furniture,
couches, furnitures,
bars.
bars, whatever. There's not much, but they try to take cover as much as. And as Jack Parr, his character actually mentioned this, is like, this is the worst sniper on the planet, and I have to agree. How do you take 20 shots and miss every one of them? You're supposed to be one shot, one kill, but he's 21 shots, 21 misses. But I would say the end of the movie gets a little ridiculous, but everything leading up to it was great. So I'm fine with a little ridiculousness at the end. This is not going to be a 6.9 star for me, but it's definitely a solid 4. I like the premise. I like the limited storytelling, just the one location. And yeah, this is good stuff.
I'll be honest. I like Jack Parr in this. He was so good.
Oh,
and you said the massage therapist who come in, one of them, Madalena Bellerio-Ion, who plays, she has a good dramatic role. So there's some really value added stuff where the supporting characters actually get to shine in this movie. I give it 4.5 stars when I reviewed it. I look back on the Google Docs. I really enjoyed this movie. And it is a Scott Adkins film, but I think what makes this really good is the supporting players around Scott Adkins in this movie. And it is a closed off environment for most of the movie, but it didn't hurt for me because actually the opening act is actually open-ended, which is good opening act. And then the rest of it, it's in that hotel. I mean, I think
keeping it in that one area works the best for it. Yeah, because it just kind of builds up the tension the whole time.
Okay.
And I don't know about you, if I was forced to be in a closed space with Scott Adkins, totally be fine with that.
Oh yeah, Scott Adkins is the man. So 4 stars for Eric Cowan for Take Cover.
I would let him get all over my celery bones.
Very, very good. And it also stars Jack Parr and Madalena Bellerio-Ion and Alice Eve, who's also good in this. She plays the antagonist in the film. All right, that's it. Take Cover. Fine. Eric, you were right. But you actually did not. You did your job. You got 2 featured movies. You got 2 Patreons, and you were able to manage Take Cover. How were you able to do that with a full?
I woke up early this morning after I went to bed late last night. I woke up early. That's kind of why I'm tired. I'm like, I must. We got 2 hours till the podcast starts. Put in
Take Cover right now. That's so funny. Thank you for that recommendation. Listeners, tell us what you think of any of these movies that we recommended or we covered this week for the week ending Friday, October 25th, 2024. And yeah, we forgot to mention, we also did for this month, we did Patreon. We covered the movies I Love You to Death, right? I Love You to Death. And What was the other one? That was Pacific Heights. We covered the year 1990. For the month of November, for our bonus episode, we are covering, for Patreon, we're covering the year 2000. So Patreon members, if you have any movie recommendations, please hit us up. And that's it. Anything else?
No. Thank you for joining the Patreon. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the birthday wishes I got from everyone.
Yes.
And if you ever make your way to Colorado Springs, hit up Toki on Sundays or Tuesdays when I'm working.
Eric, you know what happened? You did something wrong before we stopped recording CinemAddicts. You let Bruce Purkey out of the attic. You let Bruce Purkey out of the friggin' attic.
Yeah, that's fine.
As long as he's not in the Zoom room, he should be fine, okay? As long as he's not coming into the Zoom chat oh no. Wait, no. Eric, you were supposed to let him. He's still in the attic, right?
No, that's not the attic. That's a vehicle. Bruce, how do you keep getting out?
What are you doing, Bruce? He's laughing.
Bruce, 1, how do you keep getting out? And 2, why do you keep coming back after you've escaped?
Very sneaky. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
I'm sneaky. Well, first of all, see, I'm not going to tell you how I get out because then you'll block that exit. So
the thing is, I'll probably block the exit now as you're out, and then you can't get back in. So
what are you doing? You should be in the attic. What's going on, Bruce?
Well, first of all, I snuck out, climbed down the fire. Well, not the fire escape. I kind of like shimmied down the gutter system, and then I hot wired the car, which I did learn how to do with my limited internet access that I have there while I'm sitting in the attic between movies that you send me. So I know you do like strap me in usually, and force feed me the various, the various screeners.
You
that I
get
have to
people
watch.
food now. It's cool. You get people food.
So yeah, you could call it people food, but I mean, whatever.
All right. Are you actually, because since you currently, Bruce, you are currently in the hypnotic Stockholm syndrome situation of being part of the CinemAddicts family. Are you driving yourself back to the attic right now?
Well, it's one of those things. I don't know if you've ever seen these kind of movies. It's very similar to that, where you drive and you think you're getting away, and every time you take a turn, and you just end up pulling back up to the house. Like no matter what turn I take, I end up back at the house. So, and then eventually I just run out of gas.
The neighborhood was designed exactly for that.
Exactly. It's a speak no evil kind of roadway, I think. Speak no evil.
I keep going back for the bunny. I don't know why. I don't know why I do that. It's like,
Oh, but by the way, Bruce, before you get back to the attic, I just wanted to mention that I looked at the Wikipedia for the Speak No Evil remake, and it's a completely different ending. So, Eric and Bruce, if you ever want to get mad, go check out the Speak No Evil Wikipedia on the remake. It's a completely different ending. What do you think of that, Bruce?
I've heard that. I've heard it's fun in its own right. Like I guess you'd say the first one wasn't fun at all. So
No.
I've heard the new one is kind of sort of fun. So I'm assuming there's more of a redemptive, like maybe a ending where good.
Yeah. I hope.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be very, very mad if there's no rock quarry. All right, we're out of here. We're out of here, Bruce. You want to say something before you get out of here and go back?
Did you guys just do the Patreon?
Yeah, we finished the Patreon. Did you want to add a couple of 2 cents before?
Well, yeah, I would just say stay here, because now I'm going to come from the future and tell you what I thought of these movies. I guess.
Yeah, what do you think?
I have only watched one of them so far. So in the time that people are waiting for me to pop back up, which is probably going to only be a few seconds, I will have watched Pacific Heights. But I have watched, I got a little thing I can add in here for you now.
Okay.
So I already have watched I Love You to Death, which weirdly takes place in Tacoma, Washington. I don't know if you talked about that at all.
No, we did not. No, we did not.
It takes place in Tacoma, Washington. It's one of the few movies that's filmed in Tacoma, Washington, with actual location scenes in Tacoma, Washington. I would say probably the best movie that's famously filmed in Tacoma, Washington would be 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, cool.
That high school is Stadium High School, which my great-grandfather helped build. So, hey, go look at that first, because it's a better movie. But it's a little preview. But there is a very quick shot, and you probably discussed where they go try to get the hitman, the Keanu Reeves. Was it Harmon and Farman or whatever they're called?
Yeah.
But it's Keanu and what is it? John Hurt?
Oh, William Hurt.
William Hurt. Hurts. I never get the Hurts right.
No worries.
So they go and find them in this little place, and if you notice, there's a very quick external shot, and it's like a giant coffee pot.
Yes.
It looks like a giant coffee pot, and that place is the Java Jive, and I think it even is called the world famous Java Jive. And we just were up in Seattle recently, and I'm Tacoma visiting my dad. And on the way back, I told my wife, I wonder if the Java Jive still exists. This was before I knew I was going to watch this movie. And we took a detour back from my brother's house, back by where the Java Jive would exist, kind of in this industrial area known as Nally Valley. Have you ever had Nally's chips or Nally's chili? Ever heard of Nally's? It's a brand.
No. Okay.
Well, it comes out of Tacoma, Washington. They make chips, they make pickles and stuff. Anyway, chili. Nally's Valley is like an industrial valley. And next to it, there is that coffee pot shaped bar called the Java Jive, which is where they filmed that scene. That Java Jive still exists. And in fact, for a long time, they had Polaroids of Keanu and River Phoenix on the wall because they had come there and visited and probably, I assume, partied. That was the height of their party era. Partied at the Java Jive. Java Jive was well known and very popular with punk rockers and stuff because it was this super weird hole in the wall where it had this kind of like a novelty outside. Inside, so coffee pot on the outside. Inside, it was like a tiki bar setting with a very weird jukebox and a live monkey in a cage. And there was a big sign on it saying, don't bother the monkey. And people would bother the monkey. And the guy who owned the place would do karaoke and stuff. So anyway, that's the Java Jive. You look it up, it still exists.
Yeah, by the way, before you go, Bruce, you must have been freaked out when you saw I Love You to Death, and it was sort of a synchronistic kind of connection with you're thinking about that, and then you finally saw it. You saw it in the
because when you guys agree that when you're watching the beginning of that movie, doesn't it feel like it's supposed to be New York or something?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they keep dropping all this Tacoma stuff, and I was watching it going like, yeah, that's Tacoma. Why Tacoma? Why there's this like Italiano Pizzeria, which is about as good of accent as I do, by the way.
Do people historically wear brown face in Tacoma also?
I mean, you want to get shot.
It's what they're most known for, from what I hear.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Cinematics listeners, that's a preview of Bruce's Patreon, which he will drop as Cinematic later this week. And because, Bruce, you've had a full schedule, I just want you to know that Eric and I went full bore on the Patreon episode. So if you want to actually record your Patreon this week and say, so long, suckers, you're good. And then I'll just put it at the end of the episode. Just heads up on that, Bruce. So go easy on yourself this week on Patreon.
Anyway, it was cool to talk to you for a couple minutes on my way to get some fast food because we just went to Nashville and did a bunch of stuff. Anyway, nice saying hi to you guys. The last little thing. This is just for our Patreon viewers. Okay. There is a cool series on Apple TV right now, co-starring Kevin Kline.
What? Okay.
Yes. Directed by...
No. What?
Cowan.
Yeah. What is that? It's the one with Kate Blanchett in it, right?
Disclaimer. Kate Blanchett and Kevin Kline. Old Kevin Kline is in it. And it's like a 6-part, only one and done deal. So...
Have you seen all of them? All 6 episodes?
I've watched 4, and it's really good so far.
Are we talking disclaimer?
Yeah.
Disclaimer. Yep.
Are we talking top
7
shelf?
episodes.
Is it top shelf?
I think it is. It's kind of somewhere. It's almost back to a cross between. It's got a little bit of Y Tu Mama Tambien in it in a weird way. Yeah. I won't tell you, but there's like past and future and some revenge going on because of something that happened to Kevin Kline's son. And in the flashbacks, you've got that highly charged older woman, younger guy thing, which was obviously a big deal in Y Tu Mama.
Yeah.
Y Tu Mama Tambien. You see a little bit of that coming back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, buddy. I know you have to get your fast food and you're with the fam. Thank you so much for dropping by, Bruce.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing both shows whenever they drop because, I'm just a listener now.
And yeah, no. Okay. Stop with the sob story. Get out of here and get your fast food. Get out of here.
I gotta get back to the house before Eric gets back there.
I'm already here. I already know you're gone.
No, you don't.
Best to you, Bruce.
Oh,
see you. Bye. So that was Bruce Purkey, and yeah, that was very cool to get a visit from Bruce Purkey. I'm going to edit that from our Patreon. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Eric, any final thoughts on Cinematics?
No.
Oh, very good. I love that. This is a really interesting edit. Eric knows how to edit. You really do know how to edit. And I would
say CinemAddictsPodcast.com. Get all your fine merch there.
Yes.
Yeah. Force 5, Hollywood Persona, Middle Class Film Class.
Yeah, that's part of
all the great podcasts.
There's a lot of great podcasts out there. And most importantly, Cinematics listeners, however you listen to us on podcasts, on YouTube, being part of our Facebook group, we just really appreciate all the friendship and all the listenership. And most importantly, hopefully you guys, once you find some good movies as well, please hit us up and tell us what movies you're watching. And of course, before we get to Bruce, here's Claire.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining Cinematics.
Well. Here we are back in the Cinematic, or Cinema Attic, as it might be called. We have 4 features for you this week. We have The Remarkable Life of Ibelin. We have Magpie. The next one is The Rule of 2 Walls. And Let's Start a Cult. So, first up, The Remarkable Life of Ibelin, directed by Benjamin Ree, who I know from a movie called The Painter and the Thief, a good documentary. If you haven't seen it, it came out about 3-4 years ago, about a woman who was an artist who had one of her paintings stolen, and then she kindled like a friendship, and they kind of did a documentary about her friendship with the person who stole her artwork, even though her artwork had never been recovered at that point. Kind of an interesting movie about, I guess, forgiveness and redemption and all that kind of stuff. This one is a little different. It follows a young man named Mats, M-A-T-S. He's a Norwegian kid. And at the beginning of the movie, he's dead. He's died. He died young. He essentially has a degenerative disease, much like muscular dystrophy, or a version of muscular dystrophy. I'm sorry, I'll be bad if I try to give you the details of that. But the whole point is you kind of, in the first 20 minutes or so of this movie, you kind of get a real quick kind of story of his life, his short life. He lives to be in his 20s. And he goes from a kid, little kid, who can generally get around and converse, but starts stumbling at a very early age. And as he goes on, he becomes to the point where, kind of like Stephen Hawking, where he's literally just in a chair, can't move, he can only move a couple fingers. They have adapted special controls, so with just a few fingers, he can get on the internet and do things like that, move around in his electronic chair, stuff like that. But they also talk about how in the last few years of his life, he has a very loving family. He lives with them, kind of a large family. They kind of see him kind of retreating away from life, not getting involved as much in family events, spending more and more time on the internet. Not a hugely unusual story. I mean, lots of teenagers and lots of young people retreat to the internet. That's not a big deal, especially. But anyway, when he dies, he leaves his passcodes to his blog, because he'd been doing a blog about his condition, and people with similar conditions could, talk with him online about it. But also his World of Warcraft logins, things like that. So the parents put up a post basically on his blog saying, sorry, but he has passed away. We're letting anyone out there who knows him know this happened. And they are surprised by a flood of responses and big, giant, like a well thought out, long, multi-paragraph page responses. They're amazed by how much impact he had. So then the main part of the movie after this is basically they have all of the logs, all of the data from his, thousands and thousands of hours on World of Warcraft specifically. And they basically kind of retrace some of the actual events of what he did in World of Warcraft, most notably who he contacted and what he talked with them about, and kind of find out that there's this whole inner life that their son had that they really weren't aware of. So it's really interesting in that aspect. Now, there's going to be a level of cringe, I think, to some degree, because you're going to see a lot of stuff just like animated 3D World of Warcraft characters, which can be, not only is kind of an older looking game at this point, but it can be kind of like cringy as far as like you see this big heroic goofy character talking to a cat person or something. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to see these computer characters that are based on these games which are kind of goofy anyway. But the point of the movie really gets down to is that a lot of people, especially older generations, see this internet life as unvaluable, as toxic, as a waste of time, as all of these negative things. And this is just showing that it can also be a huge connection, especially for those who do not have the ability to go out in the average ways of just, meeting people at a bar or, going to a party. There's a lot of things this kid can't do. But in this world, in this virtual world, he can interact on an equal footing and actually affect people's lives. And I think the really fun thing is that at first you're seeing they recreate all these interactions that he had with various characters in the game, but then they find the people who were those characters in the game and actually talk to them in real life and what happened in real life and how he affected them and how it helped their lives by having this interaction with Matt's. So as far as all that goes, I think it's really effective overall. If you can get past a little bit of the weirdness and the kind of the World of Warcraft advertisement aspect of it, which to some degrees it feels like, if you just get into the actual story, I think it's pretty effective and a pretty good documentary. This is, I would probably say, 4 stars for me. It's a 4-star documentary. It's solid and it's got some emotional heft if you stick with it. Next up is a movie called Magpie by Sam Yates. This stars Daisy Ridley as Annette and Matilda Lutz as Alicia. Also Shazad Latif as Ben. And I didn't get the name of the actress that plays their daughter, Tilly. Kind of a four-hander here. So the basic idea is you've got Ridley Scott's character. She is a mom. Looks like they've kind of had some trouble on and off between her and her husband, but they seem to be doing it pretty well at the moment. Their daughter is currently cast in a period drama. So The father is going to go with the daughter every day to the set just to kind of be protective of her and keep an eye on her, while Daisy Ridley mom stays home with their brand new baby in their beautiful country house. All these movies seem to have very fancy houses. I don't know how rich they're supposed to be, but apparently they are because he's an author. Anyway, and very quickly you see that the glamorous yet very, very down-to-earth star that we mentioned earlier, what was her name again? Matilda Lutz, star of the movie, who will be playing a lot of scenes with their little daughter, is very friendly with the father. So right out of the gate, this felt like kind of a throwback to me. And I was down for this throwback. This is going to be like one of those, erotic thrillers from the 90s, or this kind of a relationship thriller like a Hand That Rocks the Cradle or a Fatal Attraction, one of those kind of things where Daisy Ridley obviously knows, or at least she has suspicions and she has jealousy that her husband seems to be connecting on set with this glamorous star. And since Ridley's character is a, new mom, she's having that postpartum feelings and stress and not feeling like she's romantically connected with her husband, and where's this going to go, and is she going to find out? Are they going to have an affair? Are they going to have a conflict? Is there going to be murder? Who knows? And it kind of sets itself up like that. Unfortunately, as it progresses, it takes a long, long time to get there, and there's a lot of buildup. And it builds up to a, quote, reveal. And I swear that reveal, if you had told me, you could almost tell me it was a reveal, and I wouldn't believe that it was a reveal, because I was like, we knew that all along, right? That wasn't even a reveal to us. We just knew what was going on. But apparently we're not supposed to have known what was going on. And I'm being vague, obviously. We're not supposed to know what was going on. It was supposed to be a surprise when it happens. Really, after all is said and done, not very satisfying. I did like the setup. I liked the idea of the throwback. And I was, like I said, I was down for it, but I wanted it to go campier and harder, like those movies I mentioned before, where they give you the setup and they really kind of chew on it and have fun with it and let you kind of get into the melodrama. And this one just kept trying to be suspenseful and mysterious and a little tricky in a way that just, for me, didn't really work. Nothing's terrible about this movie. Like I said, the acting's good. I'm not a Daisy Ridley hater. I know some people are, just because of, she destroyed Star Wars or whatever it is. I have no problem with Daisy Ridley. I think she can do fine, and I look forward to seeing her and stuff. Good stuff. This one unfortunately wasn't one of the better ones for me, but it wasn't terrible. Like I said, you stumble across this on a streaming service with your loved one and you want to watch something that's kind of distracting, it'll work. Sorta. I'm going to go 2.5 stars on this. I can't really go much higher. Okay. Rule of Two Walls, another documentary directed by David Gutnick. This one, I think it's filmed mostly in 2022 from what I could tell, and mostly in the town or the city of Lviv. I don't know if I'm saying it right, Lviv, which is a Ukrainian city. As you might guess, it's about the conflict in Ukraine, but specifically the point of view that this movie is taking is of the different artists within Ukraine, and how are they depicting and how are they dealing with the conflict in the middle of the conflict? Because of course it's well underway now, 2 years later. It was definitely well underway in 2022. And we hit, hip hop artists, we hit photographers, we hit sound engineers, like they talk to the people actually making the film. We talk with, who else do we have in this? Painters, sculptors. So we get a whole variety of different types of artists and how they're dealing with it. So on one half, it's kind of just a documentary about living in Ukraine and what's kind of happened to it and how people are kind of surviving in that world. Kids, civilians, everybody, it's a horrible situation, as you might imagine. And you do see that. It doesn't flinch from that. There are disturbing moments where you see bodies and things like you would expect in a war documentary. So all of that's here, I should say. The other side of it is, like you said, you get the depictions and the stories that go along with the artists. So what works about it is all that stuff works pretty well. I think if there's any problem or any issue I have with this movie kind of as a product. Terrible to say a product. We're talking about war. It's that I feel like there's a little bit of the syndrome of not seeing the forest for the trees. And I feel like it's really hard to really have a focused perspective when you're within such a fraught situation. And whatever that situation is, when we're in the middle of it, it's hard to really depict it. Or when you do depict it, sometimes you don't even know what you're depicting. You're catching things, and like 20 years from now, the things that might really stick out to people about this documentary at the moment may not stick out, but 20 years from now, we might be like, oh, that guy over in the corner, that was the guy who was really doing the stuff that now we know was amazing because it was really getting to the heart of the matter. Right now, we're not sure. We're just trying a little bit of everything. And to that point, the movie is a little bit unfocused. And they want to get all these different artists and kind of show you all different sides of the conflict from the artist's point of view. But I almost could have done to stay with one or two artists and got even deeper with those particular artists. So it's not, like I would say it's not bad. I just feel like it could be deeper within any of the artists that we get. We don't get to go deep enough. And that's part of the nature of just, getting all of this in 90 minutes. And it can almost be a mini series, each 30 minutes for each artist or something. That being said, I think I'll probably go 3.5 stars on this. If you're interested in the conflict, or the conflict is striking to you, which to a lot of people it probably is, understandably, I would say this is definitely a solid documentary that's worth a look at. It's not I don't think it's gonna really hit the top of the list for the year, but it does have some really good things to bring to the table. All right, the last movie, but the best movie of the week, is Let's Start a Cult, directed by Ben Kitnick, starring as Chip, Stavros Halkias. I hope I say the name right. I don't know this person, but apparently they are a known comedian, up and coming kind of, and I can see why, because they definitely have a ton of charisma. And then there's a lot of characters in this, but the other main character I would point out is kind of the cult leader, and that's William, played by Wes Haney. This is a high concept movie. Low budget. It definitely is not afraid to be okay. This is the basic concept. Chip is kind of the guy in the group that is gruff, rude, crude, pretty dumb, annoying. He's the guy in the crowd that everyone wants to leave behind when they go to the next stop in the party, but he somehow still finds his way to be in the car first and get out of the car first and make the most noise. No matter what, you're not getting rid of this guy. He's in for the long haul, and you're going to all have to endure his presence. Well, this guy is in a cult, and it's a doomsday cult. It's a cult like what was it, the name of the Hail Bop guys? Heaven's Gate. It's very much like Heaven's Gate. And at the beginning of the movie, they're all making their testimonials on tape before they ascend to the other plane, which means they're going to basically all kill themselves. And just like the Hail Bop, Heaven's Gate people did. Well, Chip is always messing up. People hate him. He ends up getting sent to the punishment barn all the time. They have a punishment barn. That's where he's at. But anyway, eventually at one point they give him the mission, This is also very Mel Brooksian in this way. They give him the mission. Here's our tape. This is the tape we want to send to the world because we're going to ascend, right? When they open this tape, they're going to know what we've done and why we've done it. And they're going to come find us, all dead in this farmhouse. He goes to send it. No, make sure you keep it safe. He goes to send the tape. And of course, on the way, he messes up. He doesn't send the tape. He comes back to say, hey guys, sorry, I messed up. I got stuff all over the envelope. I can't send the tape. But he comes back to find that everyone's killed themselves because they wanted to get rid of him and not have him come with them. They don't want him in the afterlife. They don't want him in the ascension place. And thus is the beginning of the stupidity and the greatness of this movie, which is, of course, being a good cult leader, William also has not died. Because any good cult leader finds a way to get everybody else to die, but to somehow cowardly get themselves out of it, hopefully get the money still, if that's what their deal is, and move on to something else. So essentially, you've got Chip, the biggest loser of the group, still alive. You've got William, the scam artist cult leader, together as a duo, having to reassemble a new cult. And in that way, it becomes a bit of a road trip where you keep picking up new people as you go. Every one of them is dumb and weird and very on the fringes of society in one way or another, and unable to really cope with things, and not even barely able to cope with each other, but that makes them a great cult. And this movie is just, if it hits your comic funny bone, this is going to be a classic for you. Low budget, but right in your wheelhouse. If it doesn't hit that mark, you're going to hate this movie and it's going to grate on you. So this could easily be a 3-star banger, although I like it a lot more than that. Because I think back about it, for me, the mark of a comedy that I really love is if I look back on it and I keep thinking of like, oh, there's that scene. Oh, there's that scene. Like if I was watching this again and I'd keep seeing that scene coming, I'd be like, oh, I forgot the scene is in here. I would like each of those scenes. That's a really good sign of a rewatchable fun comedy. I think this movie has a bunch of them. And I could just say things like, oh, the kids, the clown at the kids' party scene. I'm not telling you exactly what that is, but it's like, oh my gosh, I love that scene. Oh, the scene where they met this guy. Oh, the scene where they meet the ex-wrestler. I'm not going to say what that is, but that was a great scene. There's just a lot of funny moments in this movie, I think. And it really comes down, on Chip, the Stavros guy. He plays that. I don't know who this guy is, but he's great. I'm sure everyone's going to tell me all the things he's been in. I did know Jason Kleberg told me to check out a series they've got called Tires, which I guess he's a main player on, I think on Netflix, if I'm right, or Max maybe. What I would say is early Adam Sandler or those Chris Farley movies or even a little bit of Hot Rod, it's not quite as pop culture reference as Hot Rod, but I think it kind of, all those have the same sort of dumb, smart, intelligently written dumbness is kind of what I would say. There's a lot of cleverness in the dumbness. It knows that it's being dumb, and that's part of the joke. But you have to write that line though, right? If it's just dumb and making fun of everybody, it becomes kind of mean. But this is like, it loves its characters too. Like there is a loving eye towards Chip. Like he's vile in a lot of ways. He's terrible and annoying and gross and just everything in a lot of ways that you don't want to be around. But at the same time, you're like, I kind of love that dude. So I'm 4.5 stars. I could probably go 5 stars. And I know that Eric loves this movie. I'm pretty sure Greg does too. I think that a good chunk of our audience will love it. A good chunk of our audience will hate it. But I'd say it's worth giving a chance to. This is the winner of the week for me. And that is Let's Start a Cult. All right, I'm out of here. I've got to run today. I've got a bunch of stuff I'm doing. I hope this gives you a few movies to check out. Definitely for me, Let's Start a Cult is the number one. Ibelin, the one about Ibelin, the World of Warcraft one, that one's going to be on Netflix, so I think soon. So I think you can just check that one out when you get a chance. I think it's worth it, especially for Netflix. I think it's a good one. But if you just want fun and dumbness, and you don't have to think too hard, but you want to have a good laugh, I mean, Let's Start a Cult is the one.